another episode or edition of BnA Football Weekly. This is a weekly show where we go through a couple of things. We do my best bets, which it's the reason why I didn't do an episode last week, because I went 0-5 with my best bets. But we're learning. I feel pretty confident with my bets this week. And then we go through my team rankings, who's in the Super Bowl bubble, why not. And then we go through my NFL storylines. And if you want to listen to this show, you feel like watching it, you want to listen to it wherever, make sure to follow it on Apple Podcasts, everywhere. The podcasts are everywhere. So wherever you listen to podcasts, the show is available. Without further ado, hopefully you enjoy. And let's just get started. Okay, starting off with my top NFL teams. Now, what I usually do is I list my top 15 NFL teams, and then if I have a star or an asterisk next to it, it means they're in the Super Bowl bubble. So you can see my top 15 teams now. I don't really like delaying it and doing because it's kind of annoying if I do, because I have to take screenshots of the thing. I'm like picture by picture by picture. I'm like, oh, that's kind of annoying. I'm just going to put it all on the screen so you guys can look, skip through a little bit, because I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. Number one is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo got exposed a little bit. I'm still worried about Jimmy Garoppolo. But if this defense can continue momentum, if they can stay healthy, if they can keep on causing turnovers, like the Jacksonville Jaguars did, like the Bears did last year, if the defense can be successful, the team can be successful. Now, these teams didn't end up winning at all. It was kind of flash in the pan. But, Kyle Shanahan, I trust him a little more than a Matt Nagy. I trust him a little more than a Doug Marrone. I apologize for that. I think they're still the best team in the league. They lost one game, a primetime game that they should have won. They were lined up for the game-winning field goal, a 40-something yarder. The guy should have hit, 9 times out of 10. He missed it. It was one of those 1 times out of 10. And they took him off the street, which is concerning for the future. They did lose their kicker. But as long as they can keep momentum, that's great. They are a little bit banged up now. D Ford, I think, is a little bit not healthy. But the San Francisco 49ers have to be the number one team in the league, right? And that's crazy that we're saying that now. That's crazy. Just imagine, last year at this time, it's San Francisco 49ers are going to be the number one team in the league. And this is crazy it's crazy how much the NFL changes. But number 2 has to be the New England Patriots. They're just schematically smarter than everybody. They're getting N'Keal Harry back this weekend. They're getting a little bit healthier, and I just don't want to play New England. That sort of thing. They're just coming off their bye week, so this is where they buckle up. They're gonna have some losses in here, but they're planning for the long-term future. People are gonna knock them down in the power rankings. They're gonna lose to the the Texans. They're gonna lose to the Cowboys. People will be like, oh, this New England team is not the same, but they're preparing for much better. They're not looking for this regular season. As long as they lock up the number 1 seed, that's great. So they're gonna try against. They're gonna try this week against the Eagles because they need to keep pace. The Patriots are number 2. Number 3. I had a really tough time with this. I was debating it back and forth, but you know what? I prayed to somebody and I looked, and I have to say the Ravens. This defense is getting momentum. Are they peaking at the wrong time? Because we see that with a lot of teams. You saw the Mets in baseball. The Giants peaked, then the Mets peaked. And then I think the Cardinals had a little bit of momentum, and then that ran out. But then the team that got momentum at the right time was the Washington Nationals, and they won it all. And we see that with a lot of sports all the time. We saw that with the Columbus Blue Jackets in hockey. We saw that with the Giants in football. You know what? The Ravens, they're the number 3 team. Now they'll probably move down. They're going to get exposed one week. Lamar Jackson's going to be forced to throw. He's going to be contained inside the pocket, and he's going to have tough time throwing. But right now, I don't know any team that's better than them besides the Patriots and the 49ers. And I'm not sure how much better the Patriots are since they did get destroyed. But we'll see how they do in the rematch. They're definitely in that Super Bowl bubble. Lamar Jackson has a little bit of playoff experience. This defense is good enough to win a Super Bowl. They struggle with run defense, but that doesn't really matter. They're getting better at pass defense. Number 4 is the Saints. Now, my caveat. I'm going to mention this later, but Drew Brees and Teddy Bridgewater, I'd rather Teddy Bridgewater right now. I would. Fresh legs, fresh eyes. The team's motivated behind him. Drew Brees, you could say they're motivated, but they're 2-2 with Drew Brees. They're 2-2. They haven't been. Drew Brees is not the same. He can't throw it over the top anymore. He can't. So I have the Saints up here because their whole roster is great, but that doesn't come easily. Next, I have to say the Packers. Now, the offense is quiet sometimes. The defense is abysmal at sometimes. But as long as they can get momentum at the end of the year, as long as this defense, the line can have good push, their secondary is, good enough. Their defense get some momentum together towards the end of the year and be successful? That's the major question with the Packers. But if they get a number 1 seed, you're telling me the team wants to play in Lambeau? Lambeau isn't as great as a home field as it used to be, in my opinion. And Lambeau used to be amazing, you come in there and it's just they would beat you 42-10, that sort of thing. It's not like that anymore. But the Packers are still good, and they're in my Super Bowl bubble. The next is the Texans, because Deshaun Watson just finds ways to win. The secondary is going to be the pitfall of this team. I just know it. The secondary is awful, but the run defense is good enough. If they can play a road team, and I think in the cold weather and be pretty well. I mean, Deshaun Watson has proven he can win anywhere. He can prove he can win any which way. So I have to trust this team. Texans, number 6. They're not in my Super Bowl bubble at all. The next is the Chiefs. Come on. What are we talking about here? And the people are putting their Chiefs in not even in the top 10 anymore. They have Patrick Mahomes. He's banged up. He's injured. He's gonna get healthy going down the stretch. The offensive line's a little bit banged up. We do this every single year. The Chiefs are amazing in September. Everyone buys them. Then they start struggling in October. People are like, I don't know. And then towards the end of the year, they start getting momentum. It's okay, this team is good. Let's see what they can do. And were they choking on the playoffs? We'll see. But the Chiefs definitely have to get some respect. I mean, they're not a lock to win the division, but they're pretty close to it. I don't think the Raiders are going to really make that many moves, even though it's possible. Number 8 is the Vikings. Kirk Cousins isn't asked to do a lot. We'll talk about more later. I think they're in the Super Bowl winning bubble, but as long as they don't play an amazing coach, they'll be able to dissect their offense with Gary Kubiak. I think they're in a good position. Number 9, the Seahawks. The reason why I have them behind the Vikings is they're too streaky. The Vikings are pretty streaky too, but the Seattle Seahawks, they have Russell Wilson, but can this defense hold? Again, the Packers home field and the 49ers home field isn't what it used to be, in my opinion. The defense is going to let up a lot of points, and sometimes, you try to keep pace if you're the offense. Keep pace. All it takes is one interception, and that's it. Their defense is bend, don't break right now. I think towards the end of the year, their defense is going to start rallying together. You have too much talent on this defense. Not really too much in the secondary, but you still have Quandre Diggs, Shaquille Griffin, and guys like that. I still think in this offseason they need to get another LOB-type cornerback. They need to be smart drafting, get some late-round draft picks to kind of develop corners. The top 2-3 teams have good defenses, but here I'm questioning their defenses. They're bend, don't break. And bend, don't break doesn't really work in the playoffs. We've seen that with the Eagles and the Patriots, that one game. They both were bend, don't break defenses. But usually a bend, don't break defense versus a great offense, the great offense usually wins if they have a good defense. We saw that with, the Carolina Panthers and the Broncos. We saw that with the Atlanta Falcons and the Patriots. They were bend, don't break, and they bent a whole bunch, and they broke in that game, even though they had a 25-point lead. Sorry, Falcons fans. And next, the Cowboys. Their main problem is coaching. Do I trust Jason Garrett and Kellen Moore up against Bill Belichick? I don't know. As long as if they can get a lead, that's amazing. Ezekiel Elliott hasn't looked the same this year. He really hasn't. But they still have to be in my top 10 just because of all the talent that they have. Their cornerbacks are a little bit weak, but their defense is pretty strong. They're just a well-rounded team. They don't do anything bad, but they don't do anything great either. You could say Dak is a great thrower of the football, but they don't do anything amazingly great. Offensive line, maybe, but they've been banged up that all season. Next, the Colts, and they're moving down my list, but they get Jacoby Brissett back. They can keep pace in this division pretty easily. This division's up for grabs for anybody, but I think the Colts are just a little bit better in the front office, a little bit better in the trenches. Their secondary has struggled a little bit, but this team can definitely make a move. But they're going to need home field, and they're not going to get it. And their schedule tightens up a little bit. Tightens up because the Titans are in the division. I don't really have that much to say about the Colts, but they're definitely not in the top 10 anymore. They rode high. They were number 6 at one point. They're just not the same. Unless they can get some momentum. Again, it's all about momentum. Number 12 is the Bills. they're moving down my list as well. A couple weeks ago, I had them at number 7, and I go, this team is not at 17, but I'm like, I don't know who to put ahead of them in a way. I'm like, they're playing well. Josh Allen is, not throwing the game away, but now he's not winning the game for him. So the defense is letting up a few more points than what you would like, and Josh Allen has proven he can't beat average defenses like the Browns or slightly above average defenses. He can't conquer those guys, and that's partially because of their run game. Frank Gore, I said before the season started, you can watch it back. I made a video talking about Josh Allen, whether you can be a leader on this team. And then I questioned him, like, they brought in Frank Gore or TJ Yeldon. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? You could have brought in like Le'Veon Bell or something like that, playing in the cold, bringing a big back, LeGarrette Blount or something, and have a guy be able to run over everybody. They're not really built for that. I don't know. Frank Gore is old. He's number 3 all time in rushing, which means he's been playing for a really long time. You can't. That's how you accumulate those stats. you play for a really long time. And the Bills are number 12. The Bills aren't in my playoff, in my Super Bowl bubble. The Bears, a little bit biased. I have them number 13. I think that this defense, they're going to get Akeem Hicks back soon, and they're going to, Mitch Trubisky, he definitely didn't stop, like, he was improving last year. He definitely didn't forget how to play football, and I think that there's going to be a little bit of a rallying thing together with, in the locker room with, everyone's counting us out. I really do think, I'm really buying into that. Now, whether they sneak into a wild card or not, I don't know. Is this conference too good? Obviously, you have Seattle and the Vikings. Those 2 teams look like locks for wild cards. And you're gonna need at least 10 wins, which means you have to go 5-1 down the stretch. Is it 6-1 down the stretch? Is that possible? I don't know, but it's definitely gonna be interesting. And then next, I have the Raiders at number 14, just ahead of the Eagles. They're not in my Super Bowl bubble because their defense is just too bad. You can't keep on letting up points. Your offense can score a lot of points. They're just like a lesser version of the Houston Texans, in my opinion. I don't really know. I've talked about the Raiders a lot in this video, but you'll hear my opinion later. The Eagles round off my top 15. They just have that Super Bowl it. They just, like, you can't count them out. They're gonna have so much effort every single week, and it's one of those teams you just can't count out ever. They're some days they just show up to play and it's just like, oh, this team is amazing. And other times they have a stinker against the Cowboys where they get behind fast and then they can't come back and they just look awful on all things and then they fall apart. So I can't count them out. That's why I have to have them 15. And they're obviously in my Super Bowl window because there are a lot of players on this team that are, we're on that Super Bowl team. Jason Peters, I think, is getting healthy. With Jason Kelsey, I forget who. They're starting to get healthy there. But their secondary, I just can't. Like, a team like Seattle, I think Russell Wilson just pick apart that secondary. There aren't too many good quarterbacks in the NFC. But, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just pick apart that secondary. Even though the Eagles beat them, that's like a one-off game. If they play again, the Packers, are you thinking of losing them twice? That sort of thing. Yeah, that rounds up my top 15. Now we're talking about some other teams. Why I have them surprisingly in some places. I have the Steelers just outside at number 16. Actually, no, I'll probably move that down. The Steelers, their offense isn't good enough. They can't score points. And, it was fun while it lasted. It was like, it's a feel-good story, but no. The Browns, number 19, they're going to win. Again, they're going to rattle some games off. They're probably going to finish in my top 15 maybe, but I just don't trust this team's, like, get-togetherness. The last night showed. It's like, what are you doing? This team, penalties, discipline, they lack everything. And they're just going to dismantle. They're going to win some games that they shouldn't, but they're going to lose some games that they shouldn't either. And then the Titans, I don't know what to think of them, so I just threw them at like number 22, 21. I really don't know what to think of them. They're great. They suck. Ryan Tannehill looks like a Tom Brady-esque. He can win it, and then all of a sudden he's throwing it away. And I need consistency, and we'll see how they do down the stretch. Definitely interesting with the NFC South. That's a AFC South. That's a very interesting division. Who wins it? Does Deshaun Watson come up and he wins MVP? Does, the Colts, does Nick Foles come back up? I was going to make a topic about that. The Falcons, I still have them at 27. That's a one-off game. That happens with every single team. The Giants beat the Chiefs a couple years ago, and when they went 3-13, it's like, how do they do that? So there's always one-off wins. This team's still bad. Their defense isn't really well coached. They had 2 weeks to prepare for that game. They caught New Orleans sleeping. It's one of those things. But let's see what they beat the Panthers this week. Maybe they get some. Maybe they can rattle off some wins and finish 6-10. Poor Falcons. And then the Jets obviously ahead of the Giants. We discussed that game. It's just the Giants. They're gonna eventually. I'm gonna make a topic about it. Switching to a 4-3 if we end up getting Chase Young. We have Lorenzo Carter. We have O'Shane Ximines who played in a 4-3. We have a lot of nose tackles. If you can get Dalvin Tomlinson, B.J. Hill, Dexter Lawrence, play the inside in the 4-3, I think that could be a force to be reckoned with. And you get 2 outside guys, maybe get a Von Miller or something in free agency, and then draft Chase Young. All of a sudden, our defense is just like, holy shit, like, we're good, that sort of thing. And then our secondary is developing. Julian Love is going to start getting some reps. That's my little bit of a Giant spiel. I'm going to make a more developed topics about that later. And then again, I had the Panthers at 20. And, some people probably would have given me shit for it if they, paid attention, if they looked at it. I'm like, tell me what the Panthers do that has you inspired. I don't know. Then again, the Patriots really don't do anything that has me inspired, like when they're winning Super Bowls and stuff. But the Panthers are just meh. I don't really know. Like, I feel like I have a personal vendetta against them for some reason. Maybe because they stole Brian Burns. Maybe because the whole Cam Newton thing. But I don't know. The Panthers just But yeah, that's it for my bottom tier teams. Nothing really more to mention. I'm kind of looking through my list. The Lions are kind of a sad story this year. Kind of like a could have been story with if they, rattled off some wins early in the season, didn't tie to the Cardinals. But it's kind of like a lost season. Just bad management, bad coaching. And I should have realized that. Bad just a play management, clock management. They should have made a move, I think, at the deadline to get a better running back or better linebacker or something like that. But they didn't. And their offensive line is playing really well, but Matt Stafford is, dinged up. And it's almost like the Andrew Luck story. He got dinged up so many years, and now they finally have an offensive line to protect him. Matt Stafford is almost like an Andrew Luck story at this point. But, yeah, let's move on to my next segment where we talk about my top NFL storylines. Over the past couple of days, what I've been doing is kind of going through some teams and saying, why are they successful? What I think they do? How are they doing? And that sort of thing. Kind of like a mid-season report. I'm obviously not doing it for all 32 teams because that would just take way too long. And by the time, if I make one video every day, it would take me a little more than a month. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to include 2, I think, teams in this video. So I really want to know, why are the Oakland Raiders so successful this year? Now, obviously, we looked at their schedule in the beginning of the year. We're like, oh, look at this 6-week road gauntlet where they go to London, then they're at Green Bay, then they're at this place, that place. And from what I've been hearing, it's been really like a developmental and a kind of a bonding experience for them, going on the road after what they've been through with Antonio Brown, and it kind of brought them all together. And that has to do with a lot with Derek Carr and John Gruden building this team together. And players like Vontaze Burfict left, Antonio Brown, a lot of players just left, are gone from this team. And it's kind of like a weed out moment. You're either with us or against us, and they bonded well. They had some impressive wins against the Bears. They fought well against Green Bay. They fought well against the Texans, and it really showed their character. And now it's kind of like, we grinded through all those weeks. Let's see what we can do. And that's impressive with John Gruden. He's going to be a candidate, especially since Mike Tomlin lost last night, for Coach of the Year. It depends how they do with the rest of their schedule. I mean, we all know, lines up, you have the Jets and the Bengals. That's 2 automatic wins, in my opinion. So that makes you at 7 wins, 7-4. Then all you have to do is win probably 2 more games, because we're not sure what Buffalo's going to do. Again, we're not sure what the Steelers, the Browns. They can only win 10 games max at this point, and they still have to play some pretty tough teams. And yeah, so the Raiders are primed to make a playoff run. Now, why are they so successful? Now, I went digging and looking for it, And I think the reason why they're successful is one and only because of Josh Jacobs. He's given them a run game. And when they've had a run game, they've been successful. Back in 2016, they had a top 5 run offense. They made the playoffs. And if Derek Carr didn't get injured, they probably would have won that playoff game against the Houston Texans. And also, their yards per attempt up. Everything up from the previous 2 years. Josh Jacobs has been a rock for this team. He stayed somewhat healthy. Marshawn Lynch wasn't the guy for them. He was old. He would come out, bust out plays, but it was too much about him. He was a kind of distraction. You need those solid rock guys. You need those Alabama guys that are just like, I don't really care about all this noise. He just sits there and grinds. And this offensive line, top 5 in the league. It's giving Derek Carr time to throw. And he's passed well. Last year, they were around like 20th to 25th in the league in passing. And Derek Carr has time to pass, and he's been hitting guys. Imagine if they would have had Antonio Brown, given that he wasn't like a mess and completely like not Odell. Odell's been pretty good this year, but not completely like a diva where it's just like, I want the ball, or else, or that sort of thing. This team would have been great. Imagine some of the injuries that they had. I know every team deals with injuries and hardships, but imagine it's just crazy what this team could have done. They would have probably eked out a win against the Texans. We would, whatever. It's hard to speculate. I don't really want to speculate that much at this point. But the Oakland Raiders, those are the 2 keys. There's nothing really much that's that they're doing much better. Their third downs on offense, they just need to keep on grinding the time of possession. And time possession is a pretty big factor now. They're giving the defense more time, more time to rest on the sideline. You take a look at their time of possession this year so far. Their average drive last year, they were 28th in the league. This year, they're 4th in the league with their time of possession. The defense is struggling with third downs and everything. Their defense is awful. This is why I don't believe in the Raiders for this year. Their defensive line is too bad. Cleveland Farrell hasn't been playing good. I think they got rid of one of their cornerbacks recently, like Conley or something like that. This defense isn't good. No matter where you look on this defense, they don't really have great talent, but that's the key. They have 2 first-round draft picks this year. You're going to draft 2 defensive players. A player like, the guy in the Gators. What am I trying to say? Not Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. C.J. Henderson. He's a great player. Delpit. Help out this secondary. Maybe get a defensive end. That's what you do with your first 2 draft picks. You're going to have a 15th overall pick, and the Bears are going to have around I don't know. I think the Bears can make a run here, but you're gonna have 2 picks around 14 to 15, and that can give you some assets to trade all the way up to first and get your Chase Young, get your guy like that. But you can also stick back and get 2 shots at the thing. But you don't pick until the 3rd round where you have another 2 picks. The Oakland Raiders are in a really good spot right now. They have $22 million spent still this year. They have a lot of young talent. And, they have enough time. 10 years, John Gruden, they're going to have an era, then they're going to be in a rebuild period, then they're going to go, be good again. There's something about the NFL, it's just like dynasties are really short-lived. All of a sudden last year we thought the Bears were the next big thing, and all of a sudden their window is shut already. Windows shut really quickly, so you got to capitalize while you can. You obviously need that rocking quarterback, and Derek Carr is a quarterback going into Las Vegas, so now they know that they have their quarterback, and they're going to protect him. You have Colton Miller, you have Trent Brown. This team is successful, and we'll see. This is a very interesting team, and so the Oakland Raiders, I think that they're going to make the playoffs. I don't trust the Bills or Steelers. I think they may even get the first wild card game, and then they would play probably the worst division leader, which at that point would maybe be the Chiefs. I don't think they have a chance to challenge in this division, really, but if they do, that'd be awesome. But they'd be playing the Chiefs, the Ravens, Houston, or the Patriots, which you never know. This team, Derek Carr has no playoff experience, actually. So this is a young team, maybe pull out a gutsy win, but as far as their ceiling, maybe a wild card win, but I don't really see that. Okay, so let's move on to the next storyline that I'll mention today, which is bye weeks and how teams do after the bye week. Now, the Saints were just awful. They really, every team has a dud. And that's no teams go 16-0. The Carolina Panthers can do it. All they need to do is beat the Falcons one week, like the Saints, lost to the Falcons. But it's really hard because a team matches up really well. You sleep one week, you think, oh, I'm playing at home. That's great. The Saints, they thought, we play the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Everything is going right. We're favored by 14 points. We should win this game. And then they didn't play well. It was also play calling by Sean Payton. He didn't run the ball enough. And Drew Brees cannot do it. And a lot of people are talking about, Teddy Bridgewater. Where is he going to go? Is he going to go to the Bears? Is he going to go to the Panthers? Is he going to go to Miami? No, he's going to stay right in New Orleans. People are acting like, Drew Brees is going to be there for the next couple years. No, this is his last year. He had his break now with the thumb. He has time to rest. This is his last year. Can he make a Super Bowl run? I don't know. I'd lean towards no. By lean, I mean I wouldn't bet it. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is going to stay with the Saints, I think. He was 5-0 with the Saints. You know what the Saints record with Drew Brees is this year? It's 2-2. They're a 500 team with Drew Brees. And I don't know what it is. I don't trust the Saints with Drew Brees. They'd be lucky if Drew Brees gets hurt here. They'd be lucky if, they play against the Bears, I think, eventually. I'm not sure. They play a great defense. They play the Panthers again, and all of a sudden you have, Eric McCoy. Not Eric McCoy. That's their center. But you have Gerald McCoy come up and clip him the right way, and then all of a sudden he's hurt. Obviously, I don't wish injuries on anybody, but that'd be a good thing for the Saints. Okay, we know we can win Teddy Bridgewater already. Teddy Bridgewater has had a little break. He's mentally prepared now. He's had his reps, and then they can make a Super Bowl run. I think that they're better off with Teddy Bridgewater. Speaking about more teams after a bye. So this week, you have the Eagles and the Patriots. The Eagles are favored by, or underdogs by 4 points, kind of like what the Ravens were. The Ravens were coming off a bye. But this time, the Patriots are coming off a bye too. And this is the game where the Patriots, I bet them to win. I don't like the number 4. I'm like, would the Patriots be a 10-point favorite versus the Eagles at home? I don't think so. That's what the line is telling you right now. Yeah, so I'm picking the Patriots to win. I know it's a 4-point thing, but I don't see a way that the Patriots lose this game. It's a kiss of death. Bill Belichick always says, this quarterback is great. He can do this. He's amazing. And then he just dissects you. What the Patriots are going to do this game is just confuse Carson Wentz like crazy. Carson Wentz hasn't played the Patriots yet. You could say the Eagles have, and they have a couple players that know what's going to happen, but Carson Wentz hasn't faced the Patriots yet. They're going to give him some looks that he's never seen before. He doesn't have a deep threat in Deshaun Jackson. The best person he has is Zach Ertz, and you know what they're going to do? They have either a linebacker or a nickel corner that they're just going to line up against him. And in the Super Bowl, he completely shut Zach Ertz out. And Carson Wentz has done a little bit of a better job this year, but not targeting Zach Ertz as much. But that's his fallback. And once he doesn't see his fallback, especially now that he doesn't have Deshaun Jackson, it's going to be hard. Sometimes the team steps up, and the Eagles have been plagued with a lot of drops this year, you could say. Nelson Aguilar dropping it with that funny meme of the guy catching babies and saying I was catching them, unlike Aguilar. But sometimes the team does step up, and the Eagles have that kind of championship medal, and they know they have to keep pace in this division. But the Patriots, they know they're gonna have to get a spot too. Now all of a sudden, if they lose and then the Ravens win, then the Ravens have, the number 1 seed, and they'd have to go back to Baltimore in the playoffs. The Patriots aren't going to want to do that. They know they have a tough stretch ahead. Bill Belichick is going to have them focused. This team doesn't underlook anybody. If they get beat, they get beat. They're never going to be caught falling asleep, ever. Never, ever do they get caught falling asleep. Bill Belichick knows. He's smart. The thing about him, he's a great leader, and he teaches everyone fundamentals. With Carson Wentz, he's his second year coming off the ACL. He has had a little bit of mobility, but he's still not a overly mobile guy. And if Bill Belichick can corral him and keep him in the inside, he's going to force Carson Wentz to beat him throwing, and the Patriots have the best secondary in the league. And that's just the bottom line. The Patriots are healthy. The Patriots are getting N'Keal Harry back. Josh Gordon's obviously out, but I think Isaiah Wynn may be coming back too. So they're getting healthy as well, and Tom Brady is Tom Brady. He's had 2 weeks off. This is one of those games where I feel like he's just going to dissect the Eagles. And even if it's a tight game, they're just going to find a way to outsmart Doug Peterson. Even though Doug Peterson is a pretty good coach. I don't say he was a great leader, but he's a pretty good coach. I think sometimes Doug Peterson reminds me a little bit of Pat Shurmur, like trying to motivate the guys, but it's like that was a little bit corny. Like, come on, what are you doing? Like, we know what's going on, that type of thing. And then another team coming off a bye this week. Actually, no, let's not mention that. Let's just move on to my next storyline. We're on time. We're on time here. I want to mention the Minnesota Vikings because I'm really trusting them for some reason. I know I may be confused a little bit, but Minnesota, I'm trusting them a bit more. They actually have a run game, which they haven't had since Adrian Peterson left. Kirk Cousins has never really had a run game, and he's not asked to do a lot. Now, when it comes down to it and he's asked to do a lot, maybe in the Super Bowl against a Bill Belichick, he'll dissect Kirk Cousins and he'll destroy him. But if they're playing like a mediocre team, the mediocre defense, not really scheming up, Kirk Cousins isn't really asked to do a lot. They have a good offensive line. Dalvin Cook can just keep the chains moving. And Minnesota can make a run here. I really do think that. The key game is in 2 weeks. They play the Seattle Seahawks on primetime game. I don't know whether it's a Sunday night or a Monday night. If Kirk Cousins can win that game, he'll establish themselves as maybe even a division winner against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, some games the Green Bay Packers just completely shut off. I mean, Green Bay does have a win against the Minnesota, I believe, already, but they do play Minnesota later in the year. Minnesota can win that game as well. All of a sudden, they're in first place, and they may have a first-round bye because I don't think the Dallas Cowboys or Eagles are. Obviously, a team in the NFC West is probably going to get a bye. And then the Saints, do I trust Drew Brees? I don't know. So they may be able to get a first-round bye, and all you have to do is win 2 games, and voila, you're in the Super Bowl. They have good coaching. That's what I trust. Zimmer, he's an amazing defensive coordinator, amazing defensive mind. And Gary Kubiak, he coached Peyton Manning to a Super Bowl. So he knows how to deal with a quarterback that's limited in a way. But the thing is, he's not as limited as Peyton Manning that much because he has Stephon Diggs, he has Adam Thielen, which I never really understood why they're so hyped. I always think that they're a little bit, I don't know, but I don't want to mention that. I always think that they're a little bit too overhyped, like the best wide receiver duo tandem. I'm like, I think we can find better than that. But Kirk Cousins, he's fighting for his football life at this point too. $28 million a year. He has 1 more year left on the contract. And at this point, he's gotten used to primetime games, I think. He knows he's not asked to do a lot. The pressure is not all on him anymore. It's Dalvin Cook. He can rely on a guy. He can rely on others to make him successful. Now, if it's only him, he can't be Tom Brady. He can't be like, everyone jump on my back and let's go. But it's going to be kind of interesting. They have some primetime games left. They're sitting at 7-3. 7-3, I believe. Please don't be wrong, Anthony. This team could really make a huge run. They play in a dome. He's not playing outside. And if they can get home field advantage, the Vikings play pretty well at home. They really do. They beat the Oakland Raiders 14-34 at home. It's one of those home field advantages with the horn, which I've always hated. And this week they play the Broncos, so that's an automatic win. They beat the Eagles 38-20. They beat the Falcons 28-12 in that season opener. So this team definitely has some fight left. The key thing is whether this team does not rely on Kirk Cousins. This team relies on Kirk Cousins to make a big throw. He just sometimes does some dumb stuff. But yeah, the more reps that Kirk Cousins gets, the worse that your team is going to do, and the more behind that you are. You just need to get out to those leads with Dalvin Cook. And if you could do that, this team is going to be successful because Kirk Cousins then gets in a little rhythm because he's not pressured to do a lot, and the lead just grows. Down the stretch, they also play the Lions, Chargers. Yeah, I think they should be able to get to 11 wins fairly easily. I think they should be able to win 4 more games. And also the key is divisional games. They've struggled historically with divisional games. The Bears, I feel like, have had their number. Green Bay, even though that one game last year, it feels like they've always had their number. And the Lions are just the Lions. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what Kirk Cousins does. And those are my top 3 NFL storylines. I was going to mention something about the Jaguars. I may make a whole different video because of it, because I have no idea what to make of the Jaguars. They're just mediocre at everything. They're like I think they're like a Minnesota Light in a way. That sounds like a good like drink, a good a beer or something like that. Minnesota Light, the best beverage. I don't know, but let's just move on to the next segment, which I have no idea what the order of this podcast is. This may well be the last segment, but I don't know. But yeah, let's move on to the next segment. And welcome to BnA Best Bets. We're trying to have a little redemption story now. I feel like I'm overhyping this. This is just betting. We're going to make some money here. We're going to make some money. And yeah, let's just see. We're going to bet spreads. We're not going to do like some parlay stuff with like over-unders and straight up and money line pick, whatever. We're not going to do that. We're not doing teaser picks. I'm just going to give you what I think the top 5 bets are of the week. And let's just begin with let's start off with the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I made a mistake over the past couple weeks. I've looked at some lines and been like, oh, duh, I just picked this team. Like last week, the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills happened to me again. Last week, the Steelers and the Rams did it again. This week, I'm not getting fooled. Okay, I do not think Atlanta should be this, I don't think they should be, I think this line should be like -7. I think it should be -7. And it's -4.5. It's even moving towards Atlanta when people are betting on Carolina, which is very confusing to me. So it means Vegas knows something I don't. Whether it's the weather, whether it's the guy's, uncle's married niece died and he's motivated, whether the guy's wearing a certain cleats or the certain color jersey, I don't know. But I am not trusting the Carolina Panthers here. I'm just not. And if the Atlanta Falcons win, they'll be 3-6. Carolina Panthers will be 5-5. It'll be very interesting because now all of a sudden, wait a minute, does Cam Newton stay in Carolina? Like, what happens here? Or did they draft a quarter? I don't know. There'll be something to discuss later when the whole season develops. But I definitely do not trust the Carolina Panthers here because Vegas is telling me something. And I did a little bit more research. It's strength on strength and weakness on weakness. Atlanta Falcons suck at rushing. But Carolina is literally the worst rush defense team in the league. And they play against good running backs like Aaron Jones, but they're the worst rush defense team in the league. But they're the best rushing team in the league. And Atlanta is one of the worst rush defense teams in the league. I mean, one of the best rush defenses in the league with, Vic Beasley and it's just a bunch of run stuffers that they have on the line. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's a low-scoring game. I'd bet the under as well. I think the over-under is like 47 or something like that. The over-under is pretty high. So I'd bet the under here. It's going to be cold. Carolina played the cold last week. And the last time Atlanta has played in the cold, I searched this up. It's been 2 years since they played in weather under 50 degrees. So the game time temp is supposed to be 44. And yeah, so my next BnA Best Bet is the Houston Texans versus the Baltimore Ravens. And the key thing here is the Houston Texans are coming off a bye. And the Baltimore Ravens are coming off 3 hot weeks. So, we beat the Patriots. We beat the Bengals. We beat all these, we can win it all. They're currently -4 at home. They're one of the worst home teams in the league. Now, last week, they played, was that at home against the Bengals? I don't know. But they beat the Patriots at least at home against the Bengals. Wait, what? What did I just say? Sometimes I just say random stuff. But they beat the Patriots at home. By like 17 points, but that was a primetime game. That's different. But it's just a normal game. The Baltimore Ravens are still the worst. They have the worst away. But they have the best away record, but the worst home record. So it means they don't really have that much of a home field advantage. And I think that the Texans are going to take advantage of this. They're flying in. They know what they're doing. Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. This is going to be a very interesting game. MVP on MVP. Now the key. One of the keys to this is the speed of the Houston Texans. Now, they lost J.J. Watt, but what the Ravens do is they put extra tight ends on the field, so you have to guard them with, a little bit slower players. But I think Bill O'Brien kind of knows. Now, he's in the Bill Belichick system. He's going to be like, okay, this is what the Patriots tried to do. It didn't work. We're going to get our personnel. The Houston Texans are one of the worst pass defenses, but they're one of the number 1 rush defenses as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the Ravens can beat them with speed. And not a lot of teams have been able to do that so far this year. So I'm taking Houston -4. I still think Baltimore wins, but even though thread the needle a little bit, but that's way too many points. Yeah, that's just way too many points. Baltimore Ravens home field isn't as strong as I would think, so that means Houston would be a 2-point favorite. Baltimore would be a 2-point favorite on a neutral site, and that's a little bit too much. I think the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson will find a way to win this game, but it's going to be very interesting. Speed, excitement, throwing, but Baltimore's defense is getting a bit better. I take the over. I took it over at 49.5. Now I think you can get it for 52. So this line has gone way up. But yeah, let's move on to my next best bet, which is the Washington Redskins, which I'm using as a very similar thing to my previous pick with the Atlanta Falcons. So I don't think that they should win. I would bet the Jets to win, but this line, people are putting money on the Jets, and it got up. It went the other way. Now the Redskins are favored by 2.5 points, so things here to watch. Dwayne Haskins is named as a starter for the rest of the year. Last week when Carolina, Kyle Allen was named pretty much the starter for the rest of the year because Cam Newton went on IR. They didn't really come out that well, but it was snowing, different things like that. This week it should be partly cloudy skies. It's a beautiful day for football. The Jets are coming off a win against New York. They're feeling great. We're going to make the playoffs and everything, and then they're going to probably overlook the Washington Redskins because they probably have a big game. In fact, I'm going to search it up. Who do the Jets play after the Redskins? Because you know what? I should have searched this up before, but we're going to do this live. We're going to search it up. Sometimes I do that. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm pretending like I'm talking, and I kind of extend it. Oh, they play the Raiders at home the next week. So they're thinking about that big game. They're thinking about games down the line. They may get a little bit distracted. Adam Gase. They may be confusing messages with Greg Williams and things like that. And this team isn't that great. They may be running like a high horse saying, no, we beat the Giants. We beat the Giants. The Redskins are coming off a bye. It's the theme of this episode. They're coming off a bye. Dwayne Haskins have had more first-team reps. This team is getting relatively healthy. Trent Williams is out. That whole drama is out of the window. The Jets with Sam Darnold. I think Josh Norman matches up great with their wide receivers. I think that the Redskins, they have youth in their wide receiver core. They can expose the Jets secondary with their speed. I think Dwayne Haskins is going to be I'm playing against, I guess, New York. In a way that may motivate him. I'm kind of reaching at this point, but you've had more reps, and the Redskins haven't been all that bad with Dwayne Haskins. They've been pretty good. It's not like they've been horrible, I can't watch. So definitely do watch the Redskins in this game. Let's move on to my next bet. Okay, my next bet is the Oakland Raiders plus 10.5. I just saw it was 11.5, but I got it at 10.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is a game where the Cincinnati Bengals haven't scored 20 points in 5-6 weeks. And even with the the Ravens running up to score, they still couldn't score. The Ravens had a lot of turnovers, you could say, and the Raiders don't really force a lot of turnovers. Actually, no. You know what? I just changed. No. Sometimes I'm like, don't come in with an opinion. No, I'm going to bet the Oakland Raiders plus 10.5. I already bet it, so I have to go along with it. The Raiders aren't really good at forcing turnovers. They forced 3 turnovers against the Los Angeles Chargers, but they get 10 days extra to prepare. 3 days extra to prepare. They get 10 days to prepare. They're playing at home. They're gelling well. This is one of those games like Baltimore last week where, they're coming off a good win and they just rout the team. Not even close. The Derek Carr, we talked about it earlier in the episode. He's playing well. They established a run game. Joe Mixon has been running a lot with Ryan Finley. They're not going to really drive a lot of turnovers, but the Ravens, the Ravens were able to expose them, and I think John Gruden's going to use the same blueprint. Him and John Harbaugh, they're smart coaches. And they know they want to get some momentum with this team rolling into New York the next week. They're definitely not overlooking the Bengals here. The Bengals are traveling all the way. The Raiders are staying where they are. They're getting rested. There may be a little bit of an overlook factor here. It's we're home, but I think that the Raiders are going to be focused this game. Brian Finley's going to have a little bit of success, but I think that the Raiders will win this game pretty handily. It'll be like a 30-17 game. Hopefully the Raiders get like an extra touchdown at the end to make me not get a heart attack towards the end of the game. So I'm taking the Oakland Raiders. The Bengals are just a bad team. We counted out the Dolphins, but the Bengals aren't even trying at this point. Their defense is horrible. With the Ravens, they were just slower than the Ravens, and they didn't really put a lot of effort. And now it's just like, let's go through the motions type thing. We're just trying to see what we got. And, this team may put up a little bit of a fight. I'm not saying this is a lock. This is probably my least confident bet out of all of them. But I'm going to take the Oakland Raiders plus 10.5 against Cincinnati Bengals. And finally, it was really hard to see for me. I may change it to like 3 best bets. But I'm going to take the Chicago Bears plus 6.5 against the Rams. It's a primetime game. Mitch usually does well in primetime. Believe it or not, this team shows up in primetime. And now they look at themselves with a little bit of motivation here. They're like, you know what? We beat the Lions, but now we have to travel from Detroit to Los Angeles, and we're going to completely and utterly destroy the Rams. That's what their mindset is. The Rams didn't have to travel anywhere, and this is one of those gutsy games where it's going to be really low scoring and really tight, hopefully, because I have an under bet as well in this game. But Mr. Trubisky is starting to get a little confidence here. The secondary is a little bit better. Jalen Ramsey is there now. It was better than last year's secondary was, in my opinion. But Mitch Trubisky is going to have some time here. Wade Phillips is a good defensive coordinator. But Mitch Trubisky, it's all about momentum here. And if the Bears can catch a little bit of momentum, I don't think the Los Angeles Coliseum is going to be that Rams filled. It's going to be Bears filled. And he's not going to be, I don't think Mitch Trubisky is going to be asked to do a whole bunch, but he's going to ask to be good in some good spots. I'm going to lean towards yes. There's a lot of questions about Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. I'm not going to discount this game. May be a Rams coming out party. They may be like, we need to keep pace in this division. But in my opinion, that's not going to happen. The Bears are going to control the pace of this game. They just need to stop the Todd Gurley run and then make Jared Goff throw it and force some interception. This needs to be a good old classic Bears game from 2018 where Jared Goff just has no idea what's happening. It's a new defensive coordinator, so Jared Goff, although he maybe is a little bit familiar, he's not overly familiar with this defense. And yeah, this has to be a game that the Bears win because both teams know this is an elimination game pretty much. If the Bears win, they keep pace. If the Rams lose, they're 5-5. The Bears would be 5-5 as well, but they would have much more confidence going to the stretch, especially with their schedule. And yeah, so I think that this is a must-win game for the Bears. I think the Rams eke it out on a 17-13. I don't trust Mitch Trubisky against his Wade Phillips defense, but I think that 6.5 points is way too much. And that's pretty much all my insight about best bets. And that actually ends today's episode of BnA Football Weekly. I know it's kind of hobble-jobbled everywhere, but I want to feel like it's a conversation. I want some points when I'm talking to be like, I'm firm on this. And I want you guys to know when I'm kind of like, I want you guys to let me, to know what I'm thinking. Because I don't want to be like overly convictive in an opinion without really telling you guys what I actually think. And I want to be open like that. And hopefully we could just look back next week and be like, oh, Anthony, why'd you pick Atlanta? But, it'll definitely be interesting. Hope you guys enjoy this episode of BnA Football Weekly. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, whether I'm right or wrong about anything. We discussed a lot today. Without further delay, I want to let you guys listen to my outro music, which I always love. I sometimes listen just to the music. I listen to the beginning of the podcast just for the music. But I love this music. Have a good day. Make some money with your bets. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you in my next episode of whatever I end up putting out. See you on the